Welcome to Driving.ca. I'm Jay Canna, and I think I've timed my walk up just right. A lot of manufacturers have a lot of different trims and packages and options for their vehicles, and rightfully so, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. But here with the 2026 Toyota Crown, you have two choices. It's either the Limited or the Platinum. And in this video, what we're going to go through is what's the same about both trims, and we'll go through the key differences, touch on some things that could be improved, and go into the pricing side. And the key question we're going to ask and answer here is, are you better off saving around $10,000 with Limited, or are you getting enough value for that extra almost $10,000 with the Platinum? Let's go through some baseline numbers to get ourselves established. So there are two engine options in the 2026 Toyota Crown. You can get a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine putting out 236 horsepower through a CVT. Or you can go for the Hybrid Max, which is a 2.4 liter turbocharged engine, 340 horsepower, and a 6-speed automatic. And both come with standard all-wheel drive. Now another set of numbers which might play a pretty big deciding factor if you are looking at both of these Crowns is the fuel consumption. So both run off a 55 liter fuel tank, but the regular Crown, which is the Limited, gets a combined 5.7 liters per 100 kilometers, meaning you can go almost 1,000 clicks per full tank. Over on the Platinum trim, which uses the Hybrid Max system, that bumps up to 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers, and you can go up to 705 kilometers per full tank, a pretty healthy difference of 260 kilometers. On the cargo space side, both Crowns have 430 liters of space. Contrast that with a Camry, which actually has less at 428 liters. Let's go through the standard features for the Toyota Crown. So you get the wireless trio, which is Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and charging. You get an 11-speaker JBL audio system, which sounds pretty good, a 12.3-inch infotainment screen, and a matching 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. Here's a cool aspect to the Crown. Not only do you get heated front seats, but you get ventilated front seats and heated rear seats for the outboard positions. You also have a fixed panoramic sunroof. I guess it's a moonroof technically. I would be happier if they got rid of the panoramic and gave me a moving single panel, but that's just me. And to round out the highlights of standard features, both Crowns get a very long list of standard safety features, including Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. Here are the highlights of the differences between the Crown Limited and the Crown Platinum. Now, before we get started, I will say there's a nearly $10,000 difference between the two price-wise. Highlighting the differences between the Limited and the Platinum trims, the Platinum gets rear wheel steering, which definitely comes in handy in tighter parking spaces. You get a head-up display here, the aforementioned 6-speed automatic transmission versus the CVT. You get 3 extra drive modes in the Platinum. You get Sport, Sport Plus, and Custom. And you get 21-inch wheels as opposed to the 19s that come with the Limited. Another small difference, I don't know if it's going to be a deciding factor for anybody, but on the Platinum you get power, tilt, and telescopic steering adjustments, whereas on the Limited they are manual. And the final key aspect here is with the Platinum you get the E-axle rear differential. So yes, the differences aren't that many in quantity, but the quality of what you get in the Platinum versus the Limited makes a pretty compelling argument for those looking for a lot more out of the Toyota Crown. On the driving side, the Platinum drives so smoothly, and it's kind of Lexus-esque as far as drive feel goes. It's extremely quiet, very responsive, it's very quick off the line. That extra horsepower of about 100 really comes into play here, and just having that extra power itself can help get you out of a collision. And for those who just want more power or need more power, whatever your reasoning is, the Platinum certainly delivers. I have spent a fair amount of time driving the Limited trim as well, And it's certainly not a slouch behind the wheel either. And it still has a good drive feel, but the Platinum does come with that extra oomph and that extra gusto, and the rear wheel steering comes into play. But the biggest difference that I feel will resonate the most with buyers or potential buyers is the Platinum having that 6-speed automatic versus the Limited with the CVT. And some people care about drive feel, and if you do, then I would suggest you take the Platinum out for a few test drives and maybe longer test drives. But overall, speaking to the Platinum trim that I'm in, it drives so well. And again, it's so similar to a Lexus drive feel. And this is the most expensive sedan that Toyota makes in 2026. And yes, the rear wheel steering comes into play, and so does the e-axle rear differential. In the end, it comes down to wants versus needs for power. And I don't think anybody really needs to have the Hybrid Max. Sure, it's nice to have all of that available power, but the Limited trim will also do you just fine. Changing gears to some things that might impact your buying decision here with the Crown. It's got a fairly small amount of cargo space for the size of vehicle that it is. It's not a very deep cargo area. Yes, it's got the length for it, but the depth just isn't there. I know it's a small thing, but again, something to consider as you do your research. On that note of cargo space, if you are looking for something with a little more, the Crown Insignia is right there, and it's only a few $1,000s more than the Limited trim, and you get nearly double the cargo space here. So it's not a shot against the Crown sedan. Rather, it's if you need the extra cargo space on a daily basis, but you still want something in the Crown family, well, the Crown Insignia SUV/wagon is going to win out over the sedan. For something eclipsing the $50,000 MSRP point, there's a little too much of the piano black here and plasticky bits, and I realize that they can't do too much here to make it a Lexus because, well, then it would just be a Lexus. And the interior fit and finish is top notch for the non-plasticky bits here. Nice looking materials, well put together, nice designs, and overall it feels upscale, it feels premium. But the housing surrounding the instrument cluster here, parts of the climate control, the borders for the gear selector, all shiny piano black, and it catches fingerprints, and it takes away a little bit of the premium and upscale feel of an otherwise extremely well put together interior. And my final point on things that can hurt the Crown sedan also comes from within the lineup. In addition to the Crown Insignia, there's the Camry, and I know they're different vehicles, but you can get a top trim Camry XSE for $45,330, and I know that's a fair difference from what we have here by about $10,000, but if it's a sedan body style you still want some bells and whistles, and you don't necessarily need to have all that extra power that you get here. Maybe some consumers may be looking at the Camry instead of the Crown. On the pricing side, in Canadian MSRP figures, the Crown Limited comes in at $54,387, and the Platinum comes in at $63,820 for a difference of $9,433. Throwing the Crown Insignia into the mix because, well, still in the Crown family, that has a Canadian MSRP of $57,450. So not quite in the middle, but it's closer to the Limited. And again, you get almost double the cargo space if that's a key driver for you. And the Crown Insignia also uses a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine with similar power figures to the Limited. On the competition side, well, the sedan market is shrinking. We're now without the Subaru Legacy, Acura TLX, Volvo S60, Volvo S90, Chevrolet Malibu, Infiniti Q50. So there's still some sedans if that's what you're specifically looking for. the Lexus ES, the 3 Series more than the 5 Series, just based off performance figures. You have the C-Class, again, not quite the E-Class, somewhere in between. Genesis G70, G80, same story there. This kind of fits in between that compact sedan and mid-size sedan in the luxury world. You have the classic Honda Accord, the Toyota Camry, which is in the same family, and Hyundai Sonata. So yes, they're all similarly sized, and if you look at the Crown in the right light on the right angle, it's certainly not a crossover or an SUV. That's what the Crown Signia is. But this has that taller and larger stance that doesn't really fit in with a conventional sedan. Here's an interesting stat for you. In the first 3 quarters of 2025, 70% of all Toyota Crown sales were the limited trim as opposed to the Platinum. Here's another interesting stat for the first 3 quarters of 2025. Between the Crown Sedan and the Crown Signia wagon/SUV, 85% of all Canadian sales were for the Signia. Does that say something to the specific sedan market? Is it just a matter of people wanting something with a Crown badge on it but not wanting the sedan? Is it the extra cargo space? Is it the look? Is it the feel? It could be a lot of different things, but those 2 figures are very interesting for consumer behavior regarding the Toyota Crown family. So to wrap things up and answer my initial question of should you get the Limited or the Platinum, I'm going with the Limited. Sure, the bells and whistles are nice, but there's so much packed into the Limited trim that it does the job of what a sedan should do, especially an upscale premium one. And I think the extra power is something people would want as opposed to need. Same thing with the 4-wheel steering, and same thing with the head-up display and the other few bells and whistles. The Toyota Crown Limited, again, has plenty of value, and at nearly $10,000 less and 250-ish kilometers more per full tank of fuel, it's hard to argue with. That's going to wrap it up for the 2026 Toyota Crown. Let us know if you have any questions on what you've seen, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And we're always happy to engage in respectful conversations online. For more news, reviews, and information you can use on sedans and station wagons and SUVs, visit our website, which is Driving.ca. For Driving.ca, I'm Jay Canna.